Good afternoon. My name is Larry Fiol, and I'm Director of the Global Affairs Center here at the college. And I'm really pleased to introduce today's speakers, one of whom I think you know, Daryl Campbell, our interim president at the college, and one who you may not know, but you will by the end of this hour, Benson Mutua, who's the director of the Clay International Secondary School in Gomano, did I pronounce that correctly, Kenya. They're going to be speaking for 30 to 40 minutes, and then they're going to take your questions. Daryl, as you know, has been our interim president since June of last year. He's been at the college here since 2008, I think, so 6 years now, almost 6 years now, or over 6 years now, I'm sorry. He earned his Juris Doctorate degree at Seattle University. Benson Mutua grew up in the village that will be our focus, and I'm going to move to a slide. This is a picture of Africa and then of Kenya, and I highlighted where Nairobi is and where the village is, Gomano, over to the right, that we're going to be talking about a lot today. So I superimposed those on the image there. Anyways, Benson grew up there, and he's really the glue that holds this Clay International School project together that we're going to be talking about today. He manages all the personnel, faculty, security, kitchen staff, dormitory, everyone at the school. He's the chief liaison between the school and the village where it's located, as well as the parents, the founders, and the school and the government officials at both the local level and the national level. So they're here to share with us their journey of how they built a school. In Kenya, they're going to tell us a story, but it's less than 10 years old. So they're here to tell us a story about the journey. So I'll turn it over to Daryl. You want to stay up here? And you just let me know when you want me to.
I'll do that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. What you're about to hear is, for me, an absolute passion. And hopefully you'll have a sense by the end of this hour as to why. When you leave this room, it's my goal for each and every one of you to want to think about planning a visit to Ngomano and the Clay International Secondary School. If we accomplish that goal, and help you to feel that way, then that will be a very productive hour. I first became associated with the Clay International Secondary School back in 2007. I was vice president at Goddard College, which is a small liberal arts institution located back east in Vermont. And the president of that college and I joined with some board members and took a journey to Kenya to have an experience at this school, find out what it was all about. And we were also talking with the Kenyan government at the time about perhaps starting a branch campus of the college in Kenya. I'll be honest, I did not know what to expect when I got there. When we arrived at the village and the door of the bus opened, we were greeted by all of the people of the village, and we were then proceeded to be escorted by dance from the bus all the way down to the campus. The sheer joy that I experienced in that 5 to 10 minute walk dance was life-changing. And I really do mean that. 2 years later, I was asked and was then honored to join the board as the board of directors of Project Education Incorporated Kenya, which is located here in Washington State with a sister organization, Project Education Kenya, of which Benson Mutua is the director. And that is located in Kenya. I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, what this is about, to give you some background, and then I'm going to turn it over to Benson, who is going to walk you through his perspective around transformation, education in Kenya, and then we'd like to leave as much time for possible as your questions. The organization, Project Education and Clay International Secondary School, was founded in 2004 by 3 American women from our own Washington state who discovered that they had a shared passion for educating rural Kenyan children. Deborah Akre, Gina King, and Andrea Clay found an opportunity to act on this passion when Deborah Akre's friend, Benson Mutua, who also had a similar dream, introduced them to the village of Ingomano, where he grew up. Discussions with villagers led to a partnership to create a secondary school that would be very different from others. Co-ed, private, but with no fees. Funded by donors, fully built out and equipped with live-in Kenyan faculty and creative teaching methods that addressed all aspects of the children's wellness. The parents of the village would assist with the operation of the school. Benson accepted the job as the first country director, and through the Clay Family Foundation, Andrea and her husband Jim Clay purchased 25 acres in Ingomano and financed the building of the campus. Parents made all of the adobe bricks that were used for construction. They assumed responsibility for hiring and funding maintenance staff and for cultivating a campus farm. Local qualified students were evaluated and were accepted by the founders for the first class of 30, and the school officially opened in 2005. The Clay International Secondary School curriculum accommodates the standard secondary school mandates from the Kenyan Ministry of Education. Classes include English, Kiswahili, mathematics, history, geography, lab sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, as well as business and agriculture and various electives. Clay offers a unique cultural shift from traditional Kenyan secondary schools because of its dialogue education, with an emphasis toward critical thinking and active class participation. The school's approach is to also teach skills that will provide fertile ground for lifelong learning and for adapting to a rapidly changing world. As active classroom participants, the students both meet the requirements for passing the state exams, and they're given tools which will serve them throughout their lives. Interaction with board members and foreign donors and other visitors offers exposure to other cultures, supporting Clay's goal of teaching the students to become global citizens. If that sounds familiar, that's because we do the same thing here. To round out the education of Clay students, the faculty employs the whole child approach, where the intellectual, physical, emotional, and the economic well-being of each student is equally considered. Nutritional needs are met by 3 meals fed to them every day, and their health is monitored and treated by a visiting nurse in the campus dispensary when that becomes necessary. Whether they seek higher education in country or go abroad, Clay encourages them to aspire as Kenyans, to participate in and contribute to their village, to their country, and national government. As of 2013, the school has graduated 127 students, which represents 98% of its 4 graduating classes. 21 of these graduates have qualified for government-subsidized university scholarships, 27 off to university, and over 60 to colleges, to other colleges. Clay ranks first in its district on national graduation exam scores, and I believe that in a recent survey of 100 private schools in all of Kenya, Clay is on that top 100 at, I believe it's number 94. This is all happening in less than 10 years. Let me stop there and turn it over to a gentleman who I am proud to call my friend. He has taught me a whole lot about not just education, but about life. So with that, Benson, take it from here.
Good afternoon, everybody. I take the pleasure to stand before you today and talk to you a little bit about something that happens in Africa. As much as my friend here, we always say what happens in Africa remains in Africa. But today we decided to bring Africa to America. I would start by introducing myself. My name's Benson Mutua. I come from Kenya, grew up in a very small village in the southeastern part of Kenya, known as Ingomano. Today, by the subdivisions of the counties, we lie on the Makueni County. I wish to say we take, as a village of Gomano, we take pride in welcoming visitors in to our village in a very special way, where we spare nothing to make it a life, lasting memory. And he has testified to that. You get in there, you'll always want to come back, because not that there is a lot of anything, but there is plenty of love and energy. And at times we kind of sit back in the land of opportunities. Somebody told me in America, that's what it means. And with the much we have, we always still complain we do not have much. And I always challenge people, come over and you will realize how blessed you are. Because somebody has, one of my friends said, they have nothing. I said, no, they have their lives. How do you say they have nothing and yet they are alive? But they really appreciate so much. Benson grew up in that village, got his education, started his education from the same village, from what you call the orphanages. And I was brought up in a children's home. We call them children's homes, sponsored by Child Care Worldwide from Bellingham. I guess some of you might have heard of that particular name. And where Dr. Marks is the president of Child Care, and his wife Malise, she was my personal sponsor. I call her Mom because she made me who I am. She gave me the wings to fly. I didn't come by Boeing, I flew. Because she gave me the wings to fly. And when I got to be able to see where I've come from, my heart went back to the village, because I knew, and I still know, that I'm not the last poor boy in that village. And because of some things we always do every other time, I call them village politics. That children's home was closed down. And I was so pleased yesterday to attend one of your faculty classes, Uncle Larry there, and they were talking about something that I could really, really much relate to, and the students were presenting their kind of projects, what it takes for somebody to get from one point to the other with limited resources. And I could see the students trying to, they did dig deep in to get what they thought the teacher and the subject was relating to. But some of them gave a story that I felt my story in them. When somebody talked about foster parenting, you get to someone you've never known into your life, and you rely on this person for everything. And this person, in one way or the other, turns to abuse you. Not that you are in their care because of your own accord. You are in their care because you are a neighbor. But to them, you are just another cash crop. And I give my heartfelt and sincere gratitude to those amongst you and elsewhere in the world who take that chance, being a foster parent, and take care of those kids placed under your care like they were your own. Thank you for whoever does that. Those who take them as a cash crop, think twice. Because this kid came to you, they had nowhere else to go. But God brought them to you as a bridge, but you are trying to cut the bridge down. I once was there, I felt it, and I always feel it when I see any of those. And I thank you and thank the American people, because I can say 99% of the donations that educated me came from America, because it was an American, and more Seattle at large, because it's an NGO from Bellingham. Thank you so much. Maybe partly your coins were part of who I am now. Knowingly or unknowingly, you gave it to somebody, and that coin ended up into that particular body. So when these two friends, my friend Daryl has talked about, came in, I grew up, got my education, and went back to that NGO that educated me and said, what can I do? I want to give back to you for what you did to me. And I volunteered to become a volunteer teacher in their college, which they own. And I believe I did my job well because after some time they decided to give me a salary anyway. And after some short time also, they decided that college was much more in a better position under my stewardship. So I became the administrator of the college, and that one of those founder ladies came over to Kenya, courtesy of the president of the NGO, to start a business administration department in the same college. So somebody will ask, how did he get to meet these ladies? That is how we met. And we talked, became friends. She went to the village. And remember I said, you come to the village, we welcome you in a way that you will never forget. So she came to the village, and she never left. Because as I said, today, the statistics Dr. Jero has given out, it's because of that lady visiting the village. Many more have followed. And as like he did, they never leave. And that is how Clay International Secondary School began. And that is how the school continues to thrive. And for the students, they don't give anything less of what the donors give. Coming from that helplessness state to become a giant of education in the same place, where people used to call you nobody, and they call you the blessed. It feels so much joy into your heart. And somebody will ask me, what motivates you? What drives you? Well, I don't have an engine in my body, but when I look at the kids, and I said this to one of the classes, one of your teachers, and was so generous to have me attend one of his classes and said, well, I'm not going to tell you what your teachers tell you every day. I tell you what I tell my students every day. When I look at these students when they come for the Form 1, I guess you call it, is it 9th grade? Or, yeah. Their dreams are in tatters, just pieces of things attached by a very feeble string. But by the time we do what we do special in Clay, after the end of the 4th year and the results are announced, we send them out. I say we commission them to go out. I see the child who came in so weak, didn't know what to do, with just tiny dots of hope, now is ready to go out there, ready to take the world by the horns and drive it like his own car. That satisfies me more than any money this world can ever give. When I see a child who is now ready to say to the world, here I come, bring it on, that's my satisfaction. Seeing a child who never had any dream of ever attaining an high school education, going to the university, competing amongst tens of thousands of schools, and emerging to be shortlisted part of top 100 in the country, where we have giant schools which have been there as old as the nation. Some schools were built by the colonial people. But we challenge them. We are only 8 years, 9 years old. And we say, hey, you cannot walk over us. We stand to be counted. A dream that was just a passing, whispering wind, becoming a voice to be heard, a voice to reckon with. It's very, very rewarding. And I say thank you to my board for supporting and sharing in the dream and coming forward. And I invite each and every one of you to come over. Don't listen to me, come see. I might be exaggerating, or I may be leaving the most important part of the story. Come see for yourself and see it can happen. I know we all come from different backgrounds. Some of us have maybe similar or even much more challenged backgrounds. And you keep on asking yourself, what can I do? Is it doable? Is it achievable? Is it manageable? I say, yes, it is possible. I don't wish to talk much. I have a lot I can say, but I would wish maybe I address it from what you want to hear, not what I want to tell you. And that means you asking me the questions. But just to crown it all, for the last 5 years, our school, Clay International Secondary School, we call it international because, well, we have to be out there. We don't belong to the village anymore, has been #1 in the district for 5 years in a row. When people doubted, they even said we cheated in the exam. They said everything they wanted to say just to discredit us. I tell you, when you're poor, nobody wants you. And when you're poor, you never do anything that anyone appreciates. But you have to do it and do it until it sticks into their mind that, yes, I did it, and I can do it, and I will do it again. So if by any chance you may have seen somebody or you have been oppressed because of where you come from, I always tell my students, you didn't make an application to be born in the family you were born. If it was a choice, you will say, I want to be Mr. Bill Gates' son. But parents are gifts. So do children. Whoever comes to be your father, your mother, that's what you love that person unconditionally. My very, very repetitive advice and request to my students always when I commission them in Form 1, respect to your parent is paramount. Never question. She or he may have done things that you didn't like, but that's your parent. Respect them. Respect them because you want to be respected by your own. It's always a payback time. So if you respected your mother, your father, your kids will definitely respect you. And you will train them how to respect you and the other people. And lastly but not least, I always say again, whenever you feel the world is taking you for granted or doesn't give you the respect you deserve, or you don't feel equal to anyone else, say always look at your hand. No finger that is equal to the other. And maybe I'll take an exception. If your hand has the 5 fingers equal in height, maybe, well, they have all different types of differences. Thin, short, a little bit fat, but shorter, tall, and this one is even far away. You feel rejected, maybe by your family, maybe by the society you are coming up in and all that kind of thing, but you are very important element, part and parcel of that society. And I always challenge my students, and I challenge you too. If you think you are that maybe important or that less important, try to take, maybe just to wash your face with one of your fingers missing. Fold it and try to wash your face. And you will have yourself the assignment to mark, is it possible or not? You cannot wash your face with this finger away because you will not even draw the water. Try to fetch it from a basin. Don't go to the shower. I didn't say take a shower. I said try to wash your face with one of your fingers folded out. That tells you how important you are to the society. And so, if this is the society whichever finger you pick to be yourself, it will confirm you are a very important element or part of that society. They cannot do without you, and you cannot do without them. We need each other to support one another that we may move forward. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thanks very much for coming. Would you please compare the methods of instruction that you use at the school with those of the traditional Kenyan education? How are they similar? How are they different? What results have you seen from using a different system?
Thank you. I believe when the Minister of Education sits down to write the curriculum, they kind of factor in quite a number of things. I have sat down with the ministry officials, what we call in Kenya the technocrats, that's the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, and had to ask him and engage him one-on-one. He is a personal friend, so I would spare him nothing and give him the hard questions like they've never been asked before. We were off any recording, so he could tell me anything and I could tell him anything. But we both finally agreed that majority of our schools with the curriculum, but they choose to teach to the exam. That's where the big difference is. My friend Eroa said, we focus on the well-being of the child. This child, we want them to get out there into the society and get to know how to interact with people. Kenya is a unique setup. We have 42 tribes. And this child coming from a very remote village where only one tribe exists in that particular setup, they may never know who or what it is to be the other tribe. But I realized that and made a personal commitment that I would try as much as possible when recruiting the members of faculty to give each tribe a share. And maybe surprisingly enough, I have each member of my faculty, the 9 of them, they come from different tribes. So they get the chance to interact with at least 9 plus them, 10 different tribes in a very small village. This starts kind of grooming them and preparing them to meet the world outside there and realize, oh, I hear people talk about such and such a tribe. I give you an example if you allow me. There is this particular family. It's a story, don't quote me on that. The parent or the mother used to tell his kids, don't eat like our pastor. He eats like a dog, too quick and doesn't chew very well. So one day, this lady invited the pastor home. She forgot she had said these things. Kids are very, very observant and have a memory like an African elephant. Kind of remembers where it was in the last 20 years. So the kids sat down when the meal was served and just watched the pastor. The mother said, come on, eat your food. The kid was like, well, I just want to see. So finally, before the meal was over and the pastor was so thankful that thank you for inviting the servant of God to your home and offering a meal. And the kid got up and said, Mommy, I don't think he is what you said he is. The mother didn't even click to it that she had mentioned that sometimes. Said, what do you mean? I told you he's a good man. He's a man of God. Said, no, you told us he eats like a dog. So what do you do if you are the mother now? You try to kind of get this kid and put into your jacket, but they can't fit in there. And it's already there. So what do you tell your pastor? And you are saying, oh, we are so happy you came in and all that kind of thing. So what I say, what we train these kids is what we want them to go out there and see and confirm. If we said, Dr. Daryl eats like a dog when he comes, they say, yeah, he does do that. So in our school and within the society, there are those hearsays, which I believe in America we always get also some hearsays about Africa, Kenya. I remember sometimes a few years ago I visited another school in Bellingham, Meridian High, and one boy asked me, is it true that you can have elephant on the runway when the plane is touching down? I said, what? From where? I said, but we're told Africa, it's all just a jungle. Yeah, and another boy said, yeah, does it mean sometimes you cannot get out of your house because maybe an elephant is sleeping by your doorstep? And I said, I do not think that would be something for you to have believed. Boeing being a very, I think the biggest airline manufacturer, and being its home is here. Maybe in one of your school time, your school took you for a trip to the company they have planned, and saw those humongous big things there. Are they stupid enough to let that thing go and land on an elephant? They said, wow, do you mean you have an airport? So these are some of the fellowships, hearsays, sometimes you just make up a story. The same as our kids back home, they think America people always fight because anything they see is Rambo, James Bond, Schwarzenegger, and they say, this is what happens in America. Everybody walks with a gun and shoots everybody else. So we always have all these things, and the reason for me to bring these different people as members of faculty into the team is to make sure they get it from the horse's mouth. I don't mean to call my teachers horse, don't say that. But it's getting the information from the right person. If he is a Kikuyu and you've been told they have these, you can ask him. If he comes from the coastal tribes, you can ask him any question because we allow that free interaction. The best friends for my students are the teachers. These students come from really challenged background at times. They do not know any role model. Their uncle is a drunkard. Their father is never there. Their mother, well, whatever it is. And when you ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. Why? Because I don't know what else is out there. How can I become, well, I hear there are people who are doctors, they treat people. How do they do that? I've never been to an hospital. A policeman, what does the policeman do? So these teachers come in on 3 assignments. And that's what I always make sure when I write the letter of appointment to any of my faculty, I have to include that. 1, you are not only a teacher, but you are a big brother or a sister to these kids. And number 3, you are a mentor to them. So if you think those are 3 too many assignments, I beg to take it back before you sign it. And they have never let me down. They have helped mold these students, and they have always gone out there being what it takes for the world. You meet them outside there, you will never know they come from such a village. Thank you.
I'm thinking about the 130 students you admit to the school. what criteria you use, because I would imagine you have quite a few people who would like to get into the school. What criteria you use to select this 130?
Thank you. As we began saying, this is a remote village, a village I grew up in, so I actually know everybody. And one of the things that control the crowd is our school is a day school, so you should come from a walking distance. Well, we are known for long distance trading. We can walk until there is nowhere to walk anymore. But one of the main things we look into, as the parents committee, they sit down with a prospective parent or guardian who is bringing this particular child. And they sit down. One of the very limiting factor for anybody who is bound maybe to bring us any problem is, unlike any other school, the parents have to put a certain number of hours to work at the school compound every other day. And someone will say, how about if I pay somebody to do that work for me? Say, you are disqualified. You have money, pay it in another school, let your child go to that school. We want that who cannot be able to pay money, but can afford the very expensive cost known as paying attention to the teacher. So it is something that you cannot be able to say, well, you must get that and all that and all that. But there is a lot of that, just trying to talk to these people. And considering that it is a village whereby we know everyone. By the time that child shows up, I know, okay, this child belongs to Dr. Jero, or belongs to the brother of Dr. Jero, and we are all related in one way if you've never known. I'm also related to Obama. That's what we are in Africa, and especially in Kenya. President Obama his father happens to be a neighbor of a friend, of a cousin of a guy who went to school with a friend of mine. Are we not related? Hey, we are related to President Obama. So there are always in Africa, families are really so much extended until you try to look at exactly what's the relationship here. You don't see it. But that person is very keen and very serious trying to explain how they are related. You're like, okay, you just say, okay, I give up. You are related. So because of this, you find in the village, everybody knows the other person. Tell me, who are you? Who is your father? Maybe I know your grandfather. Okay. Oh, then whose son of that man whom we know was poor? Whose son do you come from? Well, I don't know that, but I think my father was the second born and got married to another lady and he died and I am here. So we may need to see your grandfather. He's also dead. Okay, then what do you have? We have so and so, I have so and so. That person has never belonged to that family. So maybe you are lost. But the one very nerve-breaking to me is at times when we have these students come in and you can see. Well, when you've been there, you can always be able to see yourself. I look at a boy and I see myself some X number of years ago, which I don't want to say that. But I can relate myself to that particular child and say, well, this child has nothing to hope for. This is the only thing he or she has, if ever there will ever be anything different in life. And sometimes I just give that blanket kind of admission. Take that one, please. I remember this one time, and it wasn't very easy for me. We always take 30 students in that class. Every class, our students have a maximum of 30 students. For the sake of having the one-on-one concentration from the teacher. We don't want someone who joyrides. That's not a bus, it's a class. So if you are in a class, you must be attentive and you must be participating. So 30 students to us was the right number. So we are looking forward to recruit only 30 students, and it turns up maybe 150 or 200. Maybe a few of them will kind of like, no, they just came because they were told there is a school. But almost 2 or 3 times of the number you want. They are totally deserving, totally eligible, and have everything that you want in a child to get into that school. But already the class is full. What do you do? When the principal reads out the names of those ones who have been taken in, and a child comes to you and say, do you want to say this is the end of my life? I've never gotten an answer to that. And I don't think I will ever get an answer to that. But I don't believe, again, we will ever be able to take them, those who turn for the interviews, all of them. The needs are more. So I also challenge each and every one of you, join hands. Let's have another Clay Secondary School. Maybe, I believe with his approval, he's the executive secretary of the board. I don't vote, he votes. Says, let's build 2 more streams because I have X number of people who are willing to come on board. We can do that. But meanwhile, I'm ready always to look the other side and say, I don't want to be there when the interview is done because I cannot look into the eyes of that child when they are going away. Some of them decide not to go away and stay there until evening, thinking that maybe the principal might change their mind and take 1 extra. Many of them opt to repeat that they may be considered the next year. It's very nerve-breaking. Yes.
Do you guys grow, because I know like Gomana is kind of a dry place, so do you guys grow anything? How do you guys get the food?
We have a friend who had donated to have a borehole sunk in the compound. We did 2, but the water again was too saline to be anything. We have gone to the extent of getting a very powerful water pump, which pumps water from maybe almost 2 kilometers from a river. So we scoop some springboks and pump the water upstream. And as you can see, that is one of the driest seasons, but at the background there are some 2 cisterns there, elevated to create some gravity and use them to beautify our compound and grow some food. We grow seasonal foods that are drought resistant, and every other time the village or the school is a learning center, not for the students, but for the village. When we started the school, that village never used to grow any fruit. And we started by growing 1,000 mango seedlings, and they all said, no, they will dry up. Up to date, you can see the way it looks a little bit deserted, and when you look at the background of where the kids now playing, it looks a little bit with some vegetation. So It's much, much different, and I believe before the board meeting is over the weekend, we will have the current pictures uploaded. So by Monday, you should be able to access the website and see how it looks like now. With water, everything is possible in that village. We have been able to harvest foods that the village now comes to see what can we do. And the best thing is, all the work which is done in the campus is done by the parents of the students. So I tell them, whatever work you did today at the school, go do the same back home. That if we are growing some food here, grow some from your place, in your own home, and you will be able to get something. So I said a good example was when we started and we did put up that an orchard with 1,000 mango seedlings and 100 pawpaw, oranges, tangerines, and after maybe 2 or 3 years, everybody was like, we thought these things would just dry up. But today you visit the village of Ngomano, not the clay school. Every homestead, they have fruit trees growing. So that's why I'm saying it's not only a learning center for the students, but for the community as a whole. They come, learn, and go practice that back at home. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just curious about the balance between boys and girls there. Is it pretty even, or yeah? And do they learn anything different, or are they all learning the same thing?
Well, thank you very much. A very crucial statistic I didn't kind of bring to the limelight. When we are enrolling Form 1, it's always it's a rule, 50-50, and we keep it that way. We pride ourselves, out of all the schools, our school has always been, and today, when now everybody now has started to look at it and say, well, they do things different and it's doable. When some schools are recording 50% dropouts, to us, when we lose more, is either 2 for the 4 years, 2 or 3 to the maximum. So we have been able to contain, and there isn't that much to do. It's the very 3 items I address with my teachers. Reach out to these children. Tell them they are worth than any other lie anyone could ever give them. You are a product of what you think of yourself. If someone tells you you are so beautiful and you don't feel it, it doesn't matter. If you feel you are the most beautiful queen ever existed in this planet, anyone else who tells you otherwise, it's their problem. The same we say, we are just as old as we want to feel. You want to feel like you are 15, even if you get to 100, you are still 15. So that we always like, and I take time every other time. I always have my boys' forum and my girls' forum. And tell them they know they have their big uncle. Some of them call me their father, and they will ask me a question that I will be like, okay, let's face this now. But we try to put it and break it down to the simplest form. Like I always hear people say, you explain it to me like you're explaining to a 2-year-old. And what you plant into them, they carry it. I can stand in front of you today and say, yes, we have some cases of indiscipline. And I can be able to attribute to a few cases. But last year, our 2013 class, there is one girl who was brought to my attention by the principal and said, I think we have to let this girl go. We have talked to her, but she doesn't get it. The mothers come over, we sit down and talk to her with her mother. She doesn't get it. I say, can I see her? We sat down in the principal's office, talked to her, and she said, when we were done, she told the principal she wanted to take a few days off. She went home. We didn't know she was to come back because I told her, this is your life, girl. Throw it through the window, it's your problem. Take it back, you will not regret. The decision is yours. You want to go home, the gate is wide open. You want to go back to class, the door is still open, and the teacher is still in the class. But we had a good talk. Like I've always done with quite a number of them, those we tend to kind of say, wow, she is just so, yeah, you know those cases. But when she said she needed a few days off, she went and came back with her mother, and the mother came to the principal and asked, what happened? Said, I don't know, you ask me, your daughter said she wants to go home, we thought she will never come back. She came and spent a full day apologizing to her mother. And she said, I want to be different. Can you look at me different? I've put you through so much. I shamed you in the school. Every other time you are coming to do a case about me. Can I, by any chance, do you think you can look at me differently from what I've always been to you? And like mother always, well, somebody asks, I find people asking this question, and somebody says, I know how to sing. And somebody, did your mother tell you that? Yes, okay, forget it. Because your mother will always tell you the best. You are the best, you are the most beautiful one, everything, but because to her, if you are not beautiful, who else is beautiful? You are the only child she has. Well, I don't mean you don't have siblings, but you were born alone. The day she went for that exercise, she brought back home one child, and that was you, and was the most beautiful baby born in that hospital or that village that particular day, and there will never be another one according to your mother. I always like the spirit of mothers. They keep the world going. So this girl came with her mother and she said, what did you do to my daughter? She is different. And to cut the story short, she scored a B+. She's going to the university. And when the results came, she came to me and said, thank you for seeing who I was. I didn't know who I was. Now, I realized who I am and what I'm capable of. I'm going to make it. So, yes, these things happen. It only takes somebody to listen. I remember a particular girl came from Bellingham, and the parents thought she was the most unruly child, kind of disrespectful, unappreciative. She's related to one of our donors. And yesterday when somebody told her I'm around, she said, I need to talk to you. She's married now. When she came back, even the parents could not believe what had happened to her. Totally changed. And from that time, I say the village is as a magic. You get there, you'll never be the same again. I promise, I can tell that for sure. If you want to prove me wrong, come over. Come over, I will be able to give the ticket, your ticket back. But if you come back and you are the same again, I think we will pay back the ticket you came to Kenya with. but I can assure you, you'll never be the same again. It's a very wonderful village with very wonderful people, very welcoming, very loving, as much as they have very little, but they have a lot because they are alive and they have love. Thank you very much.